introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Kripa Patel ma'am. Ma'am completed her UG from JS Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, Nadyat, Gujarat in 2008 and PG from IPGT and RA, Jamnagar, Gujarat in 2011. She started her career as assistant professor at KVG Ayurveda Medical College, Sulia. She has an experience of 8 years of teaching clinical practice in Prasati Tantra and Sri Roga department and has attained expertise in areas of PCOS and Garbha Sanskara. Ma'am has presented about 15 papers in national level seminar and conferences and has also written a book on PCOS. Ma'am is currently the HOD and assistant professor at the Department of Prasadi Tantra and Sri Roga Muralidhar Ayurveda College, Rajkot, Gujarat. We are really very proud to have you here on this session today, ma'am. So now, without any further ado, we will turn the time over to respected Dr. Kripa Patel, ma'am, to enlighten our minds with her knowledge. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening to all. First of all, I would like to thank the Diksha e-learning and for giving me this platform so where I can share my experience regarding PCOS. And I'm also very thankful to Coimbatore Ayurvedic College. So I'm very privileged to be here and discussing this my experience with all of you. So today, what we are going to discuss is PCOS and emerging pandemic. Now, why I have taken PCOS as a pandemic, we'll discuss later. First of all, uh, let's have bird view of PCOD or PCOS. So, what is the difference between PCOD and PCOS? Actually, there is no much more difference between PCOD and PCOS, but simply says PCOD means when the ovary is reeling under the pressure and having the burden of our unhealthy state of body and it's not functioning properly. So when the disease is related only to ovaries, it can be said as a PCOD. But when the situation goes out of ovaries, when it involves other system too, it can be taken as a PCOS. That means PCOD with the combination of bundle of symptoms like obesity, hirsutism, BP problems, oily skin, male pattern hair like a hyperandrogenism. So at that time, it can be taken as a PCOS. Now, we all know what is the PCOS and what are the clinical features of PCOS because this disease nowadays we are come across of very frequently in our gynec clinic. So, taking very fast views, the PCOS having features of irregular menses in the form of amenorrhea, oligomenorrhea, or even excessive menses. It also have the feature of infertility, mainly because of anovulation. Then when it become chronic, it also involves a hyperandrogenism state, which has a hirsutism, acne, oily skin-like symptoms. Then obesity. The main symptoms why the female nowadays are looking for gynecological clinic, particularly for obesity because of PCOS. And then again, insulin insensitivity or insulin resistance. Now we know that no any particular nidana or no particular causes are there for PCOS, but what biological biochemical pictures we are getting or what are the pathophysiology we know is the hormonal imbalance or can say the hormonal locha. What we found in this condition is rise level of estrogen, increase level of LH, particularly increase the ratio of LH to FSH, high estrogen level, mainly testosterone and androstenedione, that is male pattern steroids, and also insulin resistance. What we are getting is this hormonal imbalance. And it can be compared with the symptoms too. That high pituitary sensitivity to GnRH lead to high LH and FSH. which further causes high production of androgen from ovaries, causing amenorrhea and oligomenorrhea. This further causes the high estrogenic state without fluctuation and unbound estrogen and androgen, which again causes the pituitary sensitivity to GnRH to be increased. So this vitiated cycle is going on. Then the next is why anovulation is there. What happens in the ovary? So because of low FSH, there is low aromatization, and because of high LH, there is failure of ovulation and increased production of androgen, particularly testosterone. And when it becomes chronic, it involves other systems too. Particularly, what we found and what is the main concern is insulin resistance or insulin insensitivity because of high androgen and particularly insulin resistance. So, what we can say about PCOS is it has become metabolic lifestyle disorder. There is no particular reason or no particular cause we can correlate with the PCOD. So it is mainly hormonal disturbance. Then, so we can say it is metabolic lifestyle disorder. And when patient come to our OPD, mostly they are coming to us with the diagnosed sonography report of PCO. So whether hormonal imbalance which causes the PCO picture or the PCO picture has causes the further hormonal imbalance, we can't say when the patient come to us. So this is the main question, and this is what we have to know to break this vitiated cycle. So the main thing is varieties of patients are there in PCOS. We can't make particular treatment protocol for PCOS because what we found in our patients, particularly of PCOS, is very diversified. Like some are obese, some are thin, some have amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea, and some complaints about excessive menses. Infertility is there, but sometimes with menstrual irregularities and sometimes without menstrual irregularities. PCO is there. So in sonography report, you will find PCO, polycystic ovary, but it may be with ovulation or maybe with anovulation. And some patients are there who are having PCOS since too many years, but they have not developed hyperandrogenism. So varieties of patients we are having, particularly of PCOS, and depending on that picture, we have to decide our treatment protocol or management protocol. And now the clinical picture is clear. What are the symptoms and what are the biological pictures we are getting? And now, depending on that, we can say it is a pandemic. No doubt, it is not an infectious disease, it's not a contagious disease, but the incidence or the cases are increasing in number. In our practice, every gynecologist can say that among every 10%, 6 to 7 per patient or 6 to 7 women are having diagnosed PCOD, or you will diagnose PCO in her report. So it is a pandemic because of increasing cases or incidents, and not all in India, all over the globe. Then it is a thief of womanhood. My teacher says that it is the thief who has now spread all over the world. Why it is a thief of womanhood? Because it thieves the womanhood, particularly in the form of, first is beauty, because it causes acne, pimple, oily skin, male pattern hair growth. So it steals the beauty. Then it steals the figure of woman, causing obesity, and it also steals the feminism, that is causing infertility. So this PCOD or PCOS is a thief of womanhood, which is now had spread to all over the world. And because it is fast diagnosed or we are come across of, now it has become everybody's favorite to blame their complaint, whether it is obesity or infertility or menstrual irregularity. Everybody has started blaming PCOS to their because for their complaint. So it has become pandemic, and I have taken this topic here for discussion. Now, we all know this modern picture. What Ayurveda says, what is there we can correlate with Ayurveda. Actually, this is the condition we cannot give the heading particularly that this is Artha Akshaya or whatever. Particular heading cannot be given. But what we found, the clinical picture, we can correlate it with too many particular sampraptis. First is Nashtartav Samprapti, which is given by Shushruta Doshe Avruta Margatvat Artavam Nashyati Shriyan. And there they have told that it is due to Vata Kapha Avran. Because of Vata and Kapha, Avran in Artava Srotas is there. So we can correlate this condition because there is Nashta Artava. And Artava is in Ayurveda, Artava is taken as menstruation and ovum too. And what we found in PCOD, amenorrhea and anovulation. So it can be easily compared, this particularly samprapti, to the Nashtartav samprapti, that is a doshe avruta margatvam artavam nashyati striya. Then what we found, another symptoms, that is a stolia, obesity. So the samprapti given of stolia can be correlated here, and insulin resistant also we found. So Brahme samprapti can also be taken here for the PCOD in Ayurveda. So I have made a table that can be what is the correlation of PCOS in Ayurveda, how we can understand it. So because of Nudan Sevan Dushti is there, and it which causes Rasadushti, Kapadushti, depending on the Nidana, Ama and Dhatvatni Mandya. So this is the Artavaha Srotas disorder. So Rashadushti is there and causing Sangha and Ama and disturbed Dhatu portion. What we found is anovulation, menstrual irregularities, Medha Vruddhi, and lastly, this is the picture called as a PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, the main thing is treatment, how to manage it. Because we all know the detail of PCOS, what is the pathophysiology, hormonal imbalance. So we are not going to discuss that. What we are going to discuss is the treatment portion. And particularly what I want to discuss here is the Pathya. Treatment comprises of medicines, chikitsa, and Pathya. And Pathya here means lifestyle modification. And that combination is the management of PCOS. Because we are not only treating the symptoms, but after treating that symptoms, we have to manage that condition. We have to maintain that reversible condition. So medicines along with Pathya is very much important in management of PCOS. So first, medicine. Now we found the clinical picture very diversified. So depending on the clinical presentation of patient, medicines are given. But keeping in mind the principle of treatment, what we are treating is what we are given any medicine. It should be Vata Kapha, depending on the presentation, Pittavardhak or Pittshamak. If there is Nashtartava, then Pittavardhak should be given. If this is excessive menses, then Pittashamak should be given. Then Strotoshodhak, depending on the obesity or thinness, Medoha treatment should be given. And if there is insulin resistance, Prameha treatment should be given. So these are the principle of treatment. And depending on that, we have to decide the medicine. Here are some of the medicine which I used in my practice. Oral medicine, some Panchkarma procedure, oral medicines like Chitrakadivati, Pathadi Churna. Here I want to highlight this Pathadi Churna. I have taken this in my PG thesis too, this Pathadi Kwath particularly. It is given in Vatakafaj Arthav Dushti by Shushruta, that is Patha, Trikatu, and Kutaj. They are making Patha di Kvat. This Kvat particularly has very good result in decreasing the body weight particularly, and it also increases the follicular maturation too. So it is very useful. And then depending on the patient's condition, we can advise them Kanchnar Google, Tripla Google, Medohar Google, Dashmulkvat, Maharasnadikvat, Rajapravartani Vati, and Panchakarma procedure, particularly Basti. Basti is very much, very much useful for this condition. Either Yog Basti or Matra Basti. Particularly, I used Yog Basti for the 8 days. Nasya is also very useful, and it gives very excellent result, particularly in ovulation. And depending on the patient's chronicity, Virechan or Vaman can be can be performed. This particular procedure, Basti or Nasya, I have used Satapushpa tel, Mahanarayan tel, Kokrit, Sukumar tel, and Dhanvantar Krit, depending on the patient's condition. And particularly in this medicine, I have found very good result with Satapushpa tel and Mahanarayan tel. Now, this is the treatment protocol. The treatment protocol we can decide on the depending on patients. But now what I want to emphasize more is the Pathya and Apathya. Why it is needed, Pathya and Apathya? Because giving medicine, we can treat easily. Any symptoms can be treated very easily. But after treating that symptoms, we have to maintain that condition. We know PCOS or PCOD is a reversible condition. It's not a permanent condition. It can be easily reversible. But after reversing particular symptoms, we have to maintain that. And for maintaining that, Pathya and Apathya must be followed. We know this particular Pathya Apathya concept is very unique in our Ayurveda, and it comprises of Ahar and Vihar. And why we need to know Pathya Pathya? Simply to stop the Nidana Sevan. Because hormonal imbalance is there, and for hormonal imbalance, no particular food item or particular reason is there. So, what is the Nidana Sevan? We have to stop here to break the samprapti. Pathya Pathya is mainly for break the samprapti. And another thing, when we give the prescription to the patient or when we give the medicine to the patient, after that, definitely she will ask the question regarding food items. Ma'am, can we take this thing? Can we eat banana? Can we have papaya? Or can I eat the rice preparation? Or can I have ragi? Like that. So this is more important because we are giving them any medicine, they will definitely take them. But what is causing this particular cycle, vitiated cycle, it may be in their food items. So it is very important to know Pathya and Apathya. And again, it is a lifestyle disorder. So because lifestyle is the main thing which affect our hormones. So lifestyle modification is also there. So first we are going Pathya, particularly Pathya Ahar. So first is take wholesome food. Advise patient to take wholesome food. Now what the meaning of I taken here is wholesome food is local food and traditional food. See, our country India is very diversified in term of food too. Like in north, they are using more wheat preparation, sarson da shak and makke di roti. Like in south, rice preparation is there. In our Gujarat, spices are there. We are using more oil in our food. So there is too much diversity in food too. So what I advise the patient is try to have local and your traditional food. Local means whatever you find in local market, and traditional which you are eating from your birth, right? So we have to advise the patient that take local and traditional food. Nowadays what the trend is going on, they are having jackfruit or this dragon fruit, lychee and kiwis. So these are not the Indian fruits or Indian veggies. but people are taking just because it is known as a high protein fruit or like that. So don't go on that. Have local and traditional food. Then the seasonal food. Have food, particularly fruits and vegetables, according to season. Now we know any fruit or any vegetable is available all over the year. You can find mango in monsoon and even in winter too. But we know the mango is a fruit of summer, so it should be consumed in summer. That is very good. In vegetables too, like green peas, it is very much freshly found in particularly winter time. But you can go in market even in a monsoon or summer, you can find green peas, but it should be taken in particular its season. So seasonal food should be taken. And how to take this fruit and vegetable and freshly made and cooked. Don't make the habit of, okay, I have made the food, I'll take it when I'll be free. What mostly housewife or even the working women are doing, this is the more important. What they are doing, okay, wake up, then children has gone to school, dabba has made for husband, now my sasuma has taken lunch or taken breakfast, now I am going to have food. But you have made or prepared the food before 2 or 3 hours. During these 3 hours, you are waiting everybody to finish their work, and now you are taking your food. So it is totally wrong habit. So have freshly made or freshly cooked food. Then Pathya Vihara. So there should be regularity in life, particularly in food and sleep. Food means when you are feeling hungry, at that time take the food, not after I as I said that wait for anybody or wait for some work to finish and take your food. No, whenever you feel hungry, at that time have food and sleep. Whenever you feel sleepy, take a nap, right? And it should be regular time of for particular food consumption and even for sleep. uh, every particular time should be there. Then regular exercise. Regular exercise is must, not only for obese patient, but to maintain our healthy condition. Regular exercise in the form of asana, pranayam, or even go to gym, but make it a habit of regular exercise. uh, Exercise for 10 or 15 days, then take a rest for 1 week and again start. There should be not like this. There should be regular exercise in any form. And the main thing is stress-free environment. We know this condition is because of hormonal imbalance, and hormonal imbalance here, particularly of ovarian hormones, that are the steroidal hormones, they are very delicate. They are very much prone to be disturbed just because of stress. Whether it is a good stress or whether it is a bad stress, any type of stress is there, these hormones are going to be disturbed. And we all experience that when exam is coming or any function is going on, we feel menstrual irregularities. So have stress-free environment at home or at your working place. Now come to apathya ahar. I have given more weight on particularly apathya here. So what are the apathya ahar here? It should be when it is Vatkavardhak or a Medkara or a Shrotorodhak. Any food or any regimen which have any of these properties, that is Vatkavahar, Medkar or Shrotorodhak, is considered here as apathya ahar. I have taken some example which are in general apathya for every type of PCOS patient, whether he or she is obese or not. So these are the some examples. These examples are I have found from our Charak Sanhita. Mainly they are Vatakafavardhak or Medakar or Snigdha and causing Srotorodh. So these are the examples like green peas, lentils, mustards, then cowpea, radish, particularly sugarcane juice made from any machine. Here it is clearly given in Charak Samhita that Ikshurus made by any machine is not suitable here. Then Chirotha Navnit, fresh made Navnit is very useful, but Chirotha Navnit is not useful here. Then sugar, particularly Dadhi, and this is in Sharad Grishma Vasantesu, particularly in these 3 seasons, Dadhi is Garhitam, that is Nindit, because it causes further Kaphadushti. So curd should not be taken in this 3 seasons. And even we know that Dadhi is should not be taken as a plain. We have to take it with amalki or lavan, that we know all. Then Madhu Ushna Shayogena. There are too many Punjabi dishes, Punjabi recipes, particularly sabjis, in which honey is added during the preparation. So we know what happens to Madhu when it comes to Ushna Sayogan. It becomes vish. So, and some women are having the habit of taking Madhu in hot water in the morning. So it should not be there. They must be advised Madhu to not to mix with any hot preparation. Then these are the fruits: amla, am, amla dadim, parushaka, draksha, badar. When they are unripe or when they are amla, it should not be taken. They should be taken after they are ripened. Then kapitha, sarsapatel, atashitel, kusumbatel should not be used. Dairy product should not be used because they have the high glycemic index and they increases insulin resistance. They are further increasing insulin resistance, so that should be avoided. Now, depending on the type of patients, if obese patient is there, we should particularly advise them not to have Ikshurus, good, the jaggery, then Pruthuka and Rasala. Pruthuka, that is poha, and Rasala, that is Srikhand. They should be avoided. And in thin patient, we have to advise them that avoid Yava, that is Java or Madhu, because they are further causing the Vata Kapha Tushti. Now here I have taken this particular topic and particular this PCOS in pregnancy. There are some patients who complain of having not complain, but they are very curious about when they are having pregnancy with PCOS. They are curious about what if the child is female, the child will be female, and what is the chances of her to develop PCOS. So that we know while referring the causes of PCOS, they have found some genetic links too. So if mother is having PCOS, her female child would definitely prone to develop PCOS in future. So when patient come with you with pregnancy along with PCOS, what we have to advise them to not gain too much weight during pregnancy. 8 to 10 kg weight increases is normal, but not more than. So, and we have to advise them to take more proteins, not the carbohydrate. So, there are very less chances to develop PCOS in her female child in future. So that we have to, we have to keep in mind. Now, what are the apathya vihar? So the principle is anything opposite to ahar vidhi. Ahar vidhi is very much finely given in Charak Samhita. That is, food should be taken in the form of ushna, snigdha, matravat, jine. We all know that, right? So anything opposite to ahar vidhi, that is apathya in any disease, not particularly PCOS, but in any disease. And depending on ahar vidhi, and that also depends on ahar vidhi vishesh ayatana, that is prakruti, karana, sanyoga, rashi, desaka. Because when we go through the definition of apathya, it is clearly said that no particular apathya for particular person is there. One thing is pathya for one person, the same thing can be apathya for another person. Right? So depending on the Prakruti, Desha, Kala, we have to decide this apathya, ahar and vihara. And for that, we have to keep in mind is ahar vidhi. These are the common vihar: Diva Swapna, Ratri Jagran, Avyayam, Ati Vyayam, Sita Sevan, Atyasan. We all know that this is a very common vihar for all disease, and particularly in this for hormonal imbalance. These are the vihar which causes further hormonal imbalances. Now, what we have to advise to modify the lifestyle of patient. So, first of all, related to food. The first is not having functional kitchen. We know very much that in our clinic, what the PCOS patients come are from the young group, particularly college going group, and maybe they are living in hostel or in PG, so they are not having functional kitchen. And what is the meaning of functional kitchen? Not having functional kitchen is having the food that is overheated, reheated, boiled over and over, or microwave. They are having the tiffin or going in mess, which are maybe they are buying from the outside too. So what they do is just make them microwave or just reheat and have that. So this is not the functional kitchen. We have to advise them, try to avoid this thing. Don't spoil your kitchen, and then don't spoil your body. Then the food which are frozen, preserved, or heavy on preservatives. So just simply think how the frozen or preserved food look like. So if we are taking frozen or preserved food, what your body would be look like? Simple. So try to avoid frozen or preserved food. Here in Gujarat, particularly in my local area, what the women are doing this particular practice, they are collecting mangoes in summer, and on the basis of a kilogram, that is 10 to 20 kgs, they are collecting, cutting, and make them pieces, and make them frozen. So anytime they can have amrasa, and in any season they can have amrasa. So it is very much bad practice, which should not be there. So frozen food or preserved food should be avoided. And particular example I have given here is prepared cereals. Nowadays, to avoid obesity, and even to follow the tradition of fashion, cereals are consuming very much. So cereals are good because they are the whole grains. But when you are taking the packet of cereals from the market, they are very much heavy on preservatives, emulsifier. Even they have a very excess quantity of sodium. So that must be avoided. Then low fat food and cold or energy drinks. Why we should avoid low fat food? Actually, not to avoid, but because of low fat food. Low fat means you are avoiding fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, K, right? So don't just go on only low fat food. Okay, try to avoid low fat food, and we all know why we should avoid cold drinks and any soda bicarb drinks, right? So, and the second thing is eating food while watching TV or what. Now we all know that this habit has become very common. Even we ourselves also have this habit of eating food while watching TV or while working. So what the happen here is we cannot control our quantity of food. We actually don't know we have taken less quantity or too much quantity. So eating food with watching TV or work is totally non-advisable. So ask patient to have their food in very calm conditions, and please avoid TV or your any type of work during eating food. Then use of refined oil instead of filtered oil. Whatever oil for making your food you are using, it should be filtered, not refined, because the process of making this oil filtered or refined is very much important here. Make process of filtered oil is comprised of low temperature process, so the nutrients are not destroyed. While in refined oils, they are using very high temperature for the process. So the very useful nutrients are destroyed. So please advise patient to use filtered oil, not the refined oil. Then, what are the apathia mode of life? It is inactivity, like sitting in one place. That we know, these all are increasing our total body fat. So, sitting in one place or skip exercising, workouts, these all are finally and lastly increases our total body fat. And physical stress, because it is a hormonal imbalance, we have to avoid stress, overtime work and over exercising too. I have too many patients who spends one or more than 2 hours, and that is also twice a day in gym. They are telling me that, ma'am, I am spending more than 2 hours and that twice a day in gym, still I am not losing my weight. So here this should not be there. Like over exercising must be avoided. Avyayam and ati vyayam. Ati vyayam should be avoided. Why? Because if you are doing over exercises, first of all, it makes you lethargic, right? And further causing the hormonal imbalances. And here the theory of afterburn comes. We know what is the afterburn. Afterburns means when your body burns the fat at the higher rate than the normal after your weight losing training program, and that is also for 34 to 46 hours depending on the what type of exercise you have done. So we have to give rest to our body, particularly after exercise. So after burns is there and you will lose your weight, you will lose your fat cells. So over exercising should be avoided. Now the very much important thing, irregular sleep pattern. Now irregular sleep pattern here, what I have taken is disturbed biological clock. We know what is the biological clock. Even it is it is awarded by Nobel Award too. So biological clock is very much disturbed in any type of hormonal disease, and particularly here in PCOS we have to give importance to this irregular sleep pattern. Now I have taken 2 points in irregular sleep pattern. One is lately sleeping very late, and one taken any stimulant before sleep, right? So what is the cause of late sleeping? Why it should be avoided? So we know this biological clock, that is suprachiasmatic nucleus in hypothalamus. It is a very tiny nucleus, but it has the very big effect in our body. This nucleus is situated very closely to optic nerve. So optic nerve is continuously giving signals to this suprachiasmatic nucleus, that whether it is light, darkness, twilight, dusk or dawn. And depending on that, hypothalamus gives a signal to pineal gland to secrete the hormones, that is sleep hormone melatonin. So, if you are watching TV before or watching any picture or have mobile, and if your eyes have taken that radiation before sleep, right? So, no melatonin secretion is there. Instead of melatonin, that is sleep hormone, the body will start to secrete catecholamines from adrenal glands, and these catecholamines are the hormones which make the body in a fight or flight mode. So this is totally opposite to sleep. So you are not having sleep, and you will complain of that you are not having good or sound sleep. And again, this catecholamine interfere the secretion of leptin, which are the appetite hormones, to stop appetite hormones. So again, these disturbed leptin hormones are decreased, particularly level of leptin hormones are decreased, and the brain will signal you to have food. So you are not sleeping in night, and you are eating. So what would be the result? Obesity is there. So eating, so there is why you should not sleep late, and even you should not watch TV or mobile. Means avoid TV in bedroom and avoid mobile before sleeping. And the second one thing is, don't take any stimulant like coffee, tea, or energy drink before sleeping. This is the main advice. Why we should not take it? Because post sunset, GABA or a GABA, that is a gamma aminobutyric acid, is secreted in our body. That is a neurotransmitter, and body uses that, and it reduces adrenaline and increases dopamine and serotonin level. So this condition is needed for sound sleep. But when you are taking any sweet or any tea or coffee type of stimulant, it lowers the level of GABA and inducing the feeling of stress and anxiety. So again, there is a mental stress, and whenever we are feeling stress, what we are searching for is the food. So don't take any stimulant before sleep. And there are another some extra estrogen or estrogen pollutants are there, like uses of plastic. Any in now we know plastic has just taken our kitchen, so try to avoid that plastics. Then makeup, soaps, bleaching agents, mosquito repellents, they all are containing xenoestrogen, which further causing hormonal imbalance. So advise patient to try to avoid these plastics and makeups and soaps, and of course try to avoid mental stress. And what here mental stress means, some there are some communities are there in which females are not given that much liberty to express themselves. So that we have to counsel them so they can express themselves freely and fearlessly. So chinta, shok, bhaya should be avoided. Now, what I'm going to actually tell is women are hormonally vibrant. And for this, the PCOS is the best example why women are hormonally vibrant. That we are hormonally vibrant because our behavior mostly is a reflection of the kind of hormones dominating our systems, right? Because we experience pulsatile GnRH secretion, LH surge, peak level of estrogen, then sudden fall of estrogen and progesterone, and these all are mainly secreted by ovaries. So ovaries affect the state of our body and vice versa, the effect of vibrancy of our ovaries. So women are hormonally vibrant, and this is the best example, PCOS. So once I have read the book of Rujuta Divakar, and I took this line very much, and I advise every patient to this, that it's okay to be smarter than the law. Be smart in choosing what is good for you and what is not good for you, because it's not a crime. Don't follow anything blindly, that if one patient is following this, I should also follow that. No, be smart what is suitable for you. So it's not a crime, so just chill. So it's okay to be smart than the Lord. So thank you very much to all of you. And we know Diwali is coming, so happy Diwali and a happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking your time to prepare for us such an extraordinary, wonderful presentation, which was incredibly informative. Now, the session is open for discussion. Participants are requested to raise their questions in the chat box. We have few questions, ma'am. Shall we begin with it?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
First question, how Patadi Churnam should be administered?
Yeah. Pathati Churna given by Shushruta in Vatakapha Jatav Dushti, it contains mainly three ingredients: Patha, Trikatu, and Kutaj. Every in equal portion, and it should be given in the form of a Kvath, 40 ml twice a day. I have used this in my thesis, my PG thesis, and it has given very good results. So it should be given in the Kvath preparation. And if patient is cannot taken the Kvath, Pathadi Churna, this particular Pathadi Churna, even that also can be given in the dose of 3 grams twice a day with hot water.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to next question. Do you find constipation on using Patadi Kashayam? How do you overcome this?
When I was using this, I also thought the same thing because of it contains kutaj. So, but very surprisingly, I have not. I did not have, and even in my practice, I have not find any patient complaining constipation because of Patha Rijona, because Tricotev is there. So I don't have any patient complaining about constipation while using Pathadikvat. But even if there is constipation using this, we can give Avipattikar Churna to that patient. But till that, I have not find any patient complaining constipation because of Pathadikvat.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question. Like to know the role of Yogasana in PCOS. Any particular asanas to be suggested? Can we advise asanas in oligomenorrhea cases?
Yeah, yogasanas are the form of exercises, right? And that is very disciplined exercise. So it is very much advisable and very much useful. But no particular asanas are there, particular asanas for PCOS. But what I advise is Surya Namaskar, and particularly Surya Namaskar and all type of pranayam. They are advised, and Surya Namaskar has given very much good result along with some pelvic floor exercises. They can be advised. Yes, they can be advised. Surya Namaskara and pranayam. And yes, in oligomenorrhea, asanas can be advised. Yes, but depending on the condition, depending on the physical condition of the patient. If she is very lean and thin, then try to avoid asanas and advise just pranayam or just a simple meditation, right? But yes, asanas can be advised in oligomenorrhea cases.
Thank you, ma'am. Which oil to be used for cooking if Sarshapa Taila is apatya?
Yes, Sharsab tel is apatya because it is Vataka for Vardhak. So use any traditional oil which your family is using from the since they are using to make food. Sharsab tel, try to avoid Sharsab tel, or if Sharsab tel is the traditional for your home, or it is the only tel you are having, try to have very less quantity in use it in very less quantity, because we have to know the oxatmia too. So if sarsap tel is used in your family since the is a tradition, you can use, but try to have less, try to have it in a less quantity.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question. When should we start Chitrakadi Vadi in PCOS and to how many days it should be continued?
Okay. What I used, how I used the Chitrakadivati, I used the Chitrakadivati after 15 days of the menstruation. What I have in mind for Chitrakadivati, it mainly useful for follicular maturation and particular for ovulation. So I advise my patient to take Chitrakadivati in Apanakala after 15 days of menstruation and for 10 days. It should be continued, Chitrakadivati.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to next question. Ma'am, what is the reason and treatment for PCOS patient complaining excruciating right lower abdomen pain radiating to thighs during menstrual cycle and in the mid of menstrual cycle?
Okay. Treatment of PCOS complaining right, excruciating right abdominal pain. Oh, for that, advise them Sankhavati or in small quantity of, in small dose of Sanjeevani Vati too. They give very much good result. And even Rajapravartani Vati, particularly Rajapravartani Vati has a very good result in pain during menstruation and even after menstruation too. We are not advising Rajapravartani Vati only for Rajapravartan because it is given in Kashta Artha. So Rajapravartani Vati gives very much good result, pain during menstruation and even after menstruation. Rajapravartani Vati gives very good result. And along with that, you can add Sankhvati too and Ajmodadi Churna too.
Thank you, ma'am. Where will your book be available?
My book is available in Lab Publication, LAP Lab Publications. You have to book there online. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Will the long-term hormonal therapy of the PCOS patient have bad prognosis with Ayurvedic treatment? What can be done to correct this?
Yes, these are the picture actually we are having in our clinic. What the patient do, any type of disease, they concern to allopathic doctor. They have all the full pack of hormones therapy, भर के hormone therapy लेने के बाद they come to us and they are seeking Ayurvedic treatment and even they expect result within 1 or 2 months. So yes, it is very hard to give results to this type of patients which are having 7 or 8 years of allopathic treatment. But what we have to do here is first is we have to counsel them and give the assurance that yes, our treatment will definitely affect, but it will take time. And what can be done to correct this? I start the treatment for particular this type of patient. Start with Panchakarma. First of all, I do the Shodhana depending on the condition of patient, Vaman or Virechan, followed by Basti, and even followed by Uttar Basti. We know Uttar Basti has not that much result for in treating PCOS, but I do the whole Sanshuddhi, whole Shodhan, and then give Shaman Aushadhi, and then give particular symptomatic treatment according to picture. So yes, they can be treated very well, but it took very much time. So we have to ensure the patient that it will take time, but it will definitely give the result.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to next question. Does treatment differ in amenorrhea, oligomenorrhea, and menorrhagia associated with PCOD?
Yes, definitely, and this is why we have this pathya and various treatment protocol, because what we found is some are having amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea and some are having menorrhagia associated with PCOD. So depending on that, treatment varies. Obviously, yes, and of course, treatment differs in case of amenorrhea or menorrhagia. And even pathya also varies depending on amenorrhea or menorrhagia. Just take example of Shigru. Shigru is a Pittavardhak. So you cannot advise to take Shigru to any menorrhagia patient. So yeah, treatment differ in these patients.
Thank you, ma'am. Medical management for PCOS.
Yeah, actually, I have given the list which I used in our hospital. That medical management. Some medicines are there, some Panchkarma procedure, and what the tail and grid I used is there. So according to patients, whether it is obese or thin, having amenorrhea or menorrhagia, we can choose them.
Thank you, ma'am. If we do Virechana in PCOS patient, then there will be removal of Pitta and how the Artava Pravritti occurs there, ma'am.
Yes. So here what I said already previously, that depending on the clinical picture and depending on the patient, virechan, any treatment should be there. Now virechan in PCOS, now removal of pitta and virechan is not equal. We are not doing virechan for removing pitta. We are doing virechan for correction of pitta, right? And by knowing the pathology or samprapti, we know that there is no much role of a pitta in PCOS. Mainly, there is a role of a vata and a kapha in PCOS. So we have to keep in mind that virechan, we are doing virechan for not the removal of pitta, for the correction of pitta. So definitely, and 101% virechan will not cause any type of any disturbance in artha pravritti. When I was starting, when I was thinking of virechan, I have this same question in my mind, that if I do perform virechan in any patient, and if she is having the complaint of amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea, maybe virechan can make the artha pravritti more delayed. But no, there is no any type of result I have found. Virechan gives excellent result, because we are giving virechan, or we are performing virechan only for correction of pitta and for shrotoshodhana. So virechan gives very good result, particularly in particularly in artava pravrutti, and definitely you can go for virechan.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question. Ma'am, what
Yes.
is the treatment for PCOS patient with regular menstrual cycle but enervated and obese?
Yes, treatment for PCOS with mostly patients are having regular menstrual cycle, but they are enervated and obese. So here, what we have to give the treatment is start from Shodhana. I have met this protocol when obese patient and anovulatory, and with particularly anovulatory cycle is there. And if her menstrual cycle is regular, I have made the protocol start from Shanshodhana. I give Deepana Pachana for 1 week. Then mostly I go for Virechan. I have gone for woman in very less patient, go for Virechan, then yoga basti, and after that give some medicine particular for garbhadharan, that is shatavari, ashwagandha, and natkesar, and natkesar, trikatu churna, even trifla google. So it is very much effective. You can start with Sanshodhana and then Sanshamana for the treatment of PCOS having regular menstrual cycle but anovulation and obesity.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can you describe about xenoestrogen?
Yeah, xenoestrogens are the estrogen which are having the chemical constituents same as our natural estrogen, which are producing in our body. So this xenoestrogen, which are found in makeups and muscular repellents, in bleaching agents, when we come in contact of them, they interfere with our normal estrogen metabolism, and then they differ the normal functions of natural estrogens. So these are the xenoestrogen, which, or it can be taken as a estrogen pollutants or environmental estrogen pollutant. So we should avoid them. These are the xenoestrogens.
Ma'am, now we have a participant who have raised his hand for asking question. Dr. Suryanarayan, please unmute yourself.
Doctor, am I audible, doctor?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Doctor, external obesity is mostly indication of internal organ obesity.
Yes.
In the particular age group between 25 and 32 years, PCOD recurrently.
Yes.
it leads to surgical intervention or can manage by medicine?
For obesity, first of all, we have to check particularly check the family history. If there is a family history of obesity, then we cannot reduce very much weight. We have to just maintain that weight. If there is no family history, definitely we can lose the weight in numbers by our medicine very much effectively. But what I advise my patient to, that don't go blindly on the numbers, that my weight is 96 and I just want to be 66 or 56. No, don't go with the numbers. Even after having medicine, your weight is not decreasing, but you feel very light in your body. That is enough. And even with this, just feeling lightness in body, I have corrected many menstrual irregularities just by correcting feeling, make patient feeling lightly. So this we have to keep in mind, the family history or any hereditary cause. Otherwise we definitely can decreases the weight by our medicine.
Okay, thank you, doctor. One more question, doctor, about Ashokarishta and Patrangaso. How
Yes.
much they are very much useful in the PCOS?
I have not used Patrangaso in any patient, but Ashokarishta, yes, it gives very much a good result in both the patient, in amenorrhea patient and even in menorrhagia patient. Yes, because we know the effect of Ashoka. It works at the level of estrogen. So Ashokarishta gives very much good result in PCOS, particularly in young age adolescent group. Ashokarishta gave very much good result.
Okay, thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to next question.
Yes.
Majority of PCOS patients are with thyroid issues and also with hair growth and obesity. Your advice, please.
Yes, PCOS patient with thyroid issues. I have just come across very few PCOS patient who have thyroid issues too. So we have to check, we have to keep that thyroid condition in mind too while treating that. And also with hair growth and obesity. So particular for hair growth, what I am advising, male pattern hair growth is too hard to cure. It is it is very hard to reverse the hair growth, particularly androgen production. So, but there are some medicine which I have tried and even getting good result too for hair growth. For example, I have tried the Herbest capsule, which they are giving in treatment of madhumeh, that is diabetes. So any medicine, this is my opinion. Any medicine, particularly which are useful in diabetes, particularly on insulin dependent diabetes, can be given in hyperandrogenism condition. They slows the hair growth, it not completely resolve the condition, but yes, like when one patient complained hair growth in cheek particularly region, after treatment she told me that I now for particularly that I have to visit a beauty parlor once in a 15 or 20 days. Previously she was visiting every week, but now she have to visit 15 or 20 days, every 15 or 20 days. So it can be we can make it the process of slow, but we cannot definitely cure completely. So when it comes to uh, concept of beauty, then I advise them for just go for laser. But again, it also has their adverse and side effects, so choose it wisely.
Thank you, ma'am. In case of anovulation for Nasya, which styla will be useful?
Mahanarayana Tela is very much useful, and there are too many research papers and research are going on and have been gone that Mahanarayana Tela, particularly in the form of nausea in infertility patient, particularly because of anovulation, Mahanarayana Tela gives a very much good result, very much good result. So you can blindly use Mahanarayana Tela.
Thank you, ma'am. Many times, even after giving all classical medicines, many a times PCOS don't resolve. So how to deal such cases?
Yes, the PCOS picture, that particularly polycystic ovary picture, when once is established, these cysts are very hardly resolved. So PCO picture is there. We have to give this note to every patient that PCO picture that your ovary is having polycyst, it would be there, but your complaints, because this condition is reversible, means the symptoms can be cured very easily. So we have to give assurance to patient, and this is the main thing that we are giving not only treatment, we should give more emphasis on patya. So if your patients are not getting result in PCOS, you have to give importance to patya too. So how to deal, it's depend how to deal, just give more importance to pathyana patyas, just advise them to modify their lifestyle and you will definitely get the result.
Thank you, ma'am. Please suggest any particular medicine to improve endometrial thickness.
Particularly endometrial thickness, Shatavari, Grit, then Falagrut, then combination of Shatavari, Ashwagandha, Guduchi, and Yashtimatu in equal portion. This made the powder of Shatavari, Ashwagandha, Guduchi, and Yashtimatu. Take 2 gram of that in twice daily with milk added with ghee. This will increase endometrial thickness.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, patient of more body has an acne with but no obesity and no irregular menses. Is this considered as hirsutism?
Yeah, particularly hirsutism is what is a biochemical picture. When it should be called as a hirsutism, for that we have to go for some blood test for androgens. So if there is acne and pimples or oily skin, so it can be taken as a hirsutism if androgen levels are high, and according to that we have to give the treatment.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question. Dose of Rajapravartini Vati and Anupana.
Vishapravartini Vati can be given 2 tablets 2 times a day with warm water. But what we have to advise patient here, because it is a Pitta Pravartak medicine, we have to make sure that they will not have any loose motion, or it also causes cramps in GI tract. So we have to keep in mind, if the patient is of Pitta Prakruti, give one tablet 3 times a day, and if she is of Vata Kapha Prakruti, you can easily give 2 tablets twice a day.
Thank you, ma'am. What is the relation between thyroid hormones and PCOD?
Actually, there is no particularly relation between thyroid hormones and PCOD, but we know that thyroid hormones affects the hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis. We know that thyroid hormones affect this HPO axis and then affects the menstrual regularity. So yes, it can. There could be a relation. I cannot keep it clear, but yes, there must be some relation in thyroid hormone, because I have just come across 1 or 2 patients of PCOD who are having thyroid too. So yeah, there would be any relation between thyroid hormones and PCOD, because PCOD is a hormonal disturbance picture, and thyroid, we know that thyroid hormones affect the menstrual cycle, so there should be a relation, but I cannot clear it regarding PCOD particularly.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, PCOD patient with increased prolactin hormone, which medicine you suggest to normalize prolactin?
Particularly increasing prolactin level, I suggest I add Triflagugal, particularly Triflagugal in that prescription. If she is having high prolactin level, I just add along with other medicine Triflagugal, 2 tablets 3 times a day, and it gives very much good result in a high prolactin level.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, what should we use in cases of low AMH?
What should be used in low
AMH.
AMH. Okay. Yeah, yes, anti-Mullerian hormones. Okay. Yeah. For AMH, actually, AMH, I never considered this AMH level in while treating the infertility, particularly because of PCOS. But patients came with that report and saying that, ma'am, my fertility rate is now decreasing. So what should I do? So in that particular case, Yoga Basti or Basti gives very much good result. Even if it correct the AMH level or not, it gives the result. What we are expecting is the result. So just don't give much more importance on AMH. And if there is a report of low AMH, so you can perform Basti and it gives very much good result. So Basti is advisable in that particular condition.
Thank you very much, ma'am. As we are running out of time, we are winding up the question and answer session.
Okay.
Now I request Dr. Devi S. Nair, Assistant Professor, Department of Roganidana and Vikriti Vinyana, Ayurveda College, Coimbatore, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Distinguished principal and partakers, we are really thankful to Dr. Kripa Patel, HOD, Prasuti Tantra Striroga Department of Murlidhar Ayurveda College, to explain the condition PCOS without deviating from any concepts in Samhita. Using the concepts of Avarana and Staulya, you very well explained on the Samprapti of PCOS. You are very precise on the Ahara and Vihara. Ma'am, you named every item of food and also explained well on how the exercise to be advised. You also made us understand the condition very well by including the frequently asked questions in OPD, and I hope all queries of participants are cleared and provided with a standardized treatment protocol for all emerging doctors. Thank you, Kripa ma'am. And I would also like to thank each and everyone present here to make this session a success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have now come to the end of the session. The sun sets in the evening today with a promise that it will rise again tomorrow. Here's a hoping that the day comes will be a better tomorrow. See you all in the next session on 13th of November on the grand celebration of the National Ayurveda Day and a session by Dr. S. Gopakumar on the topic Post-COVID Management through Ayurveda. To know more about our updates, please do stay connected with our social platform. And that's all for today's most interesting session with a lot of new information for us to close our eyes with thought provoking knowledge. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you.